I hope you enjoyed last night. I hope you enjoyed yesterday. I hope you enjoyed today. I was personally intrigued to learn that Berlin's competitive advantage is it is both ugly and not pretty. I didn't fully understand that. It's quite the pitch from the pitch doctor. My primary reason for being here is to issue some thank yous. Thank you to Greg. Particular thank you to the ULI staff. Particular thank you to Manuela and Jackie and Lizette for rolling up their sleeves and making this happen in the way they have. So thank you. But my primary reason for being here and for stealing Patrick's time is to thank him. You may or may not have focused on this, but today is literally his last day as Global Chief Executive of ULI. And I'm very pleased that he's here with us, a nice quirk of our scheduling. Patrick has been Chief Executive of ULI since 2009. And as I have been on the board for, maybe from his perspective, too many of the last many years, he and I have worked together for some time. Patrick joined ULI as ULI was still reeling from the global financial crisis. He's guided us through the crisis and then guided us through the evolution from, frankly, an Americas-focused organization, a US-focused organization, into the global organization that we are today. A big part of that was separating global from the Americas, because for some reason Americans thought that global and the Americas was the same. And he has also initiated and driven the use of technology, as you heard earlier today from Tom Toomey, as a way of making ULI easier to navigate, work as a global organization, and hopefully improve member retention. ULI today is a completely different organization than it was when Patrick started, and he deserves a significant amount of the credit for those changes. All of which he did while working with 5 global chairmen. Of course, global chairs serve for only 2 years, so he's had to put up with 5 different global chairmen. We're not going to ask him to rank them. So in addition to all of this, Patrick was perpetually traveling the world, coming to events like this, trying to stay in touch with ULI's members and listen to their interests. Throughout it all, he's been a true gentleman, honest, warm, friendly, and someone who's always had a smile for everyone. We talk about the quality of the people ULI has as its members, but it's also true of its staff, and certainly of Patrick. Please join me in thanking Patrick for being here and for his service over the last 8 years. We all appreciate it.
Thank you, John. That was nice and unexpected. I was going to say all those things. Not really. But thank you, and congratulations to you and to Jürgen and to Lisette, our staff, all the members who were involved in producing yet another very successful ULI Europe conference. Thanks to our generous sponsors, and of course to all of our speakers and panelists and you for sticking it out to the end here. Now the role of capsulizing and synthesizing the day traditionally has fallen on the closing speaker. And often in years past, that's our incomparable moderator, Greg Clark. By the way, another round of applause for... Another job terrifically well done, Greg, thank you. Now, I do not have Greg's talent for synthesis, but fortunately, these days, we have Twitter. Greg may not yet be nervous about being replaced by technology, but the hashtag ULI Europe 2018 is actually a pretty good indicator of what resonated with the crowd today. And so I've got just a few observations. These came from the tweets during the day. Interesting sort of list. Jack Ma's quote from earlier in the day about the need to educate our children to do everything that machines cannot do was mentioned by a number of folks. The idea of personal pricing and how it's challenging the whole notion of inflation the changing nature of work and its impact on placemaking, on the strategies that are appropriate to create real estate value. Scott Malkin's comment regarding the increasing management intensity that's required to succeed in the retail business. A couple of others here. Sustainability is not only an obligation, but also an opportunity. It's part of what the mayor of Bilbao said, creating a city of values, an interesting phrase that resonated with a number of you. The idea that performance data is critical to improving and documenting the value of sustainability measures. And then finally, a great quote from this morning: the timeless fundamentals of placemaking are durable and don't require a lot of attention once you've got your plan right, but you have to monitor what's going on in the marketplace and the response to the customer continuously, analyze the feedback and adapt accordingly. So great comments on Twitter that actually did reasonably sum up the day. So I was personally struck this morning by the remarks of Regula Lushar, our opening speaker. She reminded us that city building is about finding the balance between valuing history, on the one hand, that which remains and provides continuity and context, but also welcoming that which is new. Sometimes our cities are not good at doing both of these things at the same time. What is new, of course, provides change and renewal and an opportunity for greater inclusivity. The conversation that we've had today very much revolves around finding this balance, and it also highlights the value of finding a forum like this one. I was struck this morning, too, by the notion that if we didn't have ULI, we'd have to invent it in order to create the kind of forum for multidisciplinary professionals to come together, public sector, private sector, and find this balance together, this great complex topic of city building. As Jon mentioned, the balance between continuity and change also resonates for me personally today. I will be stepping down, and it is, I think, very appropriate that that happens. My official last act happens here at ULI Europe. My tenure was often associated with a desire to continue to foster ULI's global growth, and I took the CEO role at a time of great crisis for the organization, for the industry. There was a phrase during that time in Washington that was popular: don't let a good crisis go to waste. And we didn't. We used the crisis to really reinforce what was good about ULI and to chart the course for a different kind of a future, one that was in fact and is in fact more global. Working with our members, we set to work on the recovery back in 2009 and 2010. The recession officially ended fairly quickly after my tenure began, but the effects of it were felt for several years after. We strengthened our local networks, particularly our district councils and national councils, also our product councils. We reformed our governance to make the organization more transparent and more open. We reformed it again to provide greater representation by our non-US regions and to provide a more level playing field when it comes to allocating resources. We clarified our priorities from a content standpoint, and we began to invest in valuable member-facing technology. The result is that we've more than recovered the membership that we lost during the crisis. We're continuing to grow. We're larger than ever, but that by itself doesn't mean a lot. I think we are more responsive to our members and to our markets. We're more rewarding, providing a better member experience. And as a result of both of those things, I think we're more resilient. I often say that I'm not eager to test this hypothesis, but I think in the face of a more normal cyclical downturn, we will prove to be much more resilient than we have been in the past. Now, as Tom outlined this morning, we're now putting the finishing touches on a new strategic plan, and it's centered around 4 critical dimensions. One is technology, particularly technology that delivers member value. 2 is corporate engagement. We found that our corporate members and our corporate supporters loved, that's the word they used, loved ULI, but they were puzzled by the fact that we didn't ask them to really develop a true partnership. They were unaware of what our strategic priorities were, how they could be more deeply engaged in delivering the mission of the organization, and we're aiming to really develop much more capacity to work more closely and get more from and provide more to our corporate partners. Leadership development has been a very strong emphasis this fiscal year and will continue into the future, and you'll see tangible evidence for that, including much greater access to engagement opportunities at ULI. And then finally, the fourth pillar, if you will, of the strategic plan, a focus on measurable impact. In our non-Americas regions, where we've been active for a shorter period of time and have tended to focus on events, this is really meaningful. And the district councils, the national councils, ULI on the ground is where we'll really deliver that value. Much of the planning process over the last year is focused on developing a structure, services, and approaches that allow all of ULI's regions to thrive. The global commitment today is very firm. And that's personally very gratifying. I'm especially excited about the future of ULI Europe. Our success to date has been impressive, but there's substantial greater potential ahead. Uniquely, ULI continues to bring together all disciplines, all property sectors, and all markets into a global community of ideas, but it's not just of ideas. It's an orientation toward impact on the ground, the ability, the mission of ULI to improve our cities. So I look forward to continuing to watch ULI Europe thrive and to have the opportunity to work together, but as a member this time, returning to my former role as a member. Leading the organization for 8 years has been the privilege of a lifetime. I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity. And now I'm pleased to mark another successful ULI Europe conference and to officially bring our proceedings to a close. Thank you all very much.